Welcome back, scientists. So today we're going to measure our beans again for the third time, and we're going to wrap up our lab report with our analysis and conclusion. So the first thing we're going to do, like always, is make sure that we have our data table pulled up in our Google Drive. So we're going to search my experiment. Okay, so here is everything from before, and we are on day 3 of our data table. All right, so let's see what happened. And I'm actually kind of surprised at what I saw just now when I looked. So I think you might be surprised too. I really thought things were done growing inside of a plastic bag, but that is not the case. So let's start with the white beans. So sadly, our white beans didn't do very well. We have 2 that just became mush and they're kind of gross now. So I'm just gonna throw those away since we're done with this experiment. And we have 1, oh, and they smell bad too, yuck. So we have 1 here that does have some growth, but this one's not growing very much anymore. So it looks like this one is, if we line up at the 0, it looks like nothing has happened since last time. So it's still about 2 centimeters. Right there is where the end of that root is. So we're gonna put that in there. White beans are 2.0 centimeters. All right, we're gonna get rid of that now. Now, the other ones have continued to grow. So look at these are the small brown beans, and they are doing really well. It's gonna be hard to choose which one is the longest. I have to use one of these. This one's got some, they all have actually some leaves and stuff too. So what's coming up from one end, this is the part that grows above ground, the stem and the leaves. And then what's growing down below these are the root system. So it's got a bunch of branching little roots, really interesting. We can kind of see how they grow one strong root and then it branches out. So which one of these is the longest? I guess I'll line them all up. I think I'm gonna have to use this one here in the middle. So yeah, I would say that one's probably the longest. Okay, so I'm gonna measure the whole plant from top to bottom. So I do have to kind of guess, but it looks like it's going all the way to 19 centimeters, I think, is a pretty good length, 19 centimeters. So go back to my document. So this is the small brown beans. It is 19.0 centimeters. All right, so now we're gonna do the large brown bean. And the large brown bean has also shown quite a bit of growth over this past weekend. So it has been a few days since I checked on these. And I think after today, I'm gonna go plant them and maybe get some more beans in my garden this fall. Okay, so check that out. These guys were growing pretty slowly, and now all of a sudden, they have all of these roots growing from them. Every single one of them seems to have grown a little bit. They're all shedding the seed, the coating on their seed is starting to fall off. And this one seems to be progressing the farthest because it actually has some leaves coming up, but I don't know if that's the longest one. Well, I think it might be. So we're going to use the one that's growing with the leaf. I don't want to bend it because that could break it or damage it, but I am just going to try and measure from the top of the plant all the way to the bottom of the root. So I think that's about lined up at the 0, and it's going to about 13.4 centimeters. That's about 13.4 centimeters. Okay, well that is interesting, and I'm definitely going to plant these outside when I get home today so they can continue to grow. But the next step of our scientific method is analysis. So we're going to take the data table and we're going to write about what we saw. So these numbers say a lot, but not as much as we can say using words. So first I need to look at all of the data I recorded. So I would say white beans definitely did not do very well in this experiment. I'm not really sure why that is. Something might have gone wrong, but maybe it was just too much water for those beans. However, the small brown beans obviously did really, really well with 19.0, and the large brown beans did really well too, just a little bit slower. So that's what we're going to write. The small brown beans grew the fastest in this experiment with, I'll say, the white beans grew the least. Okay, and then finally for our conclusion, we are going to say, first for our conclusion, the most important part is to say if the hypothesis was correct. So my hypothesis was if the bean is larger, then it will go faster. And that is not true because the small bean grew the fastest. So what my conclusion will say is the data contradicted my hypothesis because the smallest bean grew the fastest. Okay, so this word contradicted just means that it went against my hypothesis, meaning my hypothesis was wrong. So that wraps it up for our simple experiment on different types of beans. Once you've finished your report, you're now going to go to the Miss Webb 7th grade science class Canvas page, and you're going to click on modules, and you are going to do my experiment bean analysis and conclusion. So do your best on that, and I hope you had fun.